refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast.
Sweetheart, nice to see you. You see, you're walking around here in your big coat like it's winter. It's summer, sun's out, guns out.
To be honest, the sun is out, but also it's out with a bit of wind, a bit of rain as well. So you got to be
top on. You're all done up and everything's
Everlast.
Lonsdale. I'm just trying to match up with sponsors.
Johnny, huge announcement today. Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr., the rematch. It's going to go ahead. Your immediate reaction?
So, first of all, I didn't find out till last night. Again, people know I can't keep a secret. So they told me last night. But I actually didn't think it was going to happen. And the reason why is because I thought, what can Chris change about fight 1 to fight 2? And it was as though he won, because Liam was waiting for this to happen. I think that was a frustration thing for Liam. I think, again, we want to hear what he says in the press conference and the build-up to this fight, because Chris has got to somehow justify what happened. Bad elbow, bad shoulder, the weight, whatever. And he's going to be under a lot of criticism. So I've got to rate him for actually putting himself back in the jaws of us, to really question him and drill him on this. But again, in reality, when everybody's gone and he's in the gym, he's at home by himself, he's got to then figure out, how can I change what happened the first time? What can I do about it? If the weight's the same, what changes? Because Liam has not changed as a fighter, it's been one fight. The only damage that's been done is his confidence, and he got turned over. Do I believe there can be a difference? Unless Chris tells me something that I thought, okay, maybe, I'm struggling. I know Roy Jones did an interview the other week saying he wasn't happy how Chris was making the weight. I know his dad showed his concern as well, and it wasn't until after the fight everyone, I get it, I see it. And again, the argument will still stay the same, and I'm old school, so I know how hard making weight is, how it affects you. And you've got to be prepared to listen to older, wiser fighters that have been there and done that, and listen to them. So he's not like he's invented a wheel. He's going to find out again if that's what he's going to do. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how the fight goes. But to me, I think, it's going to be a fight that Chris doesn't mind being hated. He doesn't mind being loved. But, and I'm quite sure Liam loves it, the fact that, I'll do this again. And the problem is this. So Liam, for instance, would he be one of those fighters that thinks, I've got his number, I'm complacent, and goes and there and gets turned over? No, I think he really wants to do a proper number on him again. And I think he's got that bit of spite in him.
Do you think that this was Chris Eubank Jr.'s first option? We know they talked about the Conor Benn fight, and obviously now Conor's been officially suspended by Ukad. Do you feel like the fact that he's been suspended has made an effect on Chris's decision now to fight Liam Smith next?
I can't comment on that. What I can comment is that I don't think Liam's his first option. I think he's now his only option. I do, and I think now this is business as well as his livelihood, as far as Chris is concerned. But I would question if that fight was still on the table somewhere, somehow, if Chris would have gone down there. I do question that. But I think this is now his only option.
There's been a lot of hype about Chris Eubank Jr. ever since he turned professional. He hasn't won a legitimate world title yet. He's now taken another loss to an elite champion, a former champion. If he loses, is it game over, Chris Eubank Jr.?
Well, it's not game over for him the last time after the last loss. He might have been mocked, he might have been ridiculed, the finger might have been pointed at him. And before, during and after the fight. So now he's got to be strong enough and have the resolve to say, you know what, I don't care what you think, because you look at what I've done in my career. I'm probably one of the highest paid fighters out there, UK fighters, and to say I've not won a legitimate title, I'm doing something right. So if he can create that hysteria around him and his career, he's doing a job. He's doing quite a job. And you know what? If the plus side is that he becomes a world champion, then he becomes very marketable, because he's one of those fighters you want to love or loathe. So for Chris, I think he'll always be able to sell himself in one way or another. It's that name, he's got the Eubank name.
He's moved trainers over the last few years as well. Hasn't been a lot of difference in his fighting style. What do you want to see? What differences do we have to see for Chris Eubank Jr. to have a chance against Liam Smith?
I beg to differ. I think there is a few differences since he teamed up with Roy, but it's not a natural difference. It's not a natural thing. When you're tired, you go to type. You do what you do naturally, and I don't think he spends enough time, one-on-one time, for that to be ingrained in him as a fighter, to be his natural go-to, his natural base. You know, when he's tired or when he's hurt, when he's hit. Instinctively he'll make rookie mistakes. We saw in the last fight when he's trying to box and be smart, instinctively what he's got a good pace, he's got a good fighting engine, but consequently he got hit by a decent shot against a guy that is steeped in experience, and we were too quick, and I was one of them. We're too quick to forget that or dismiss that, because you get suckered into the hype that Chris has created around himself. So even though I've got a lot of time for Chris, the reality is we all learn a lesson. Stick to fact, not fiction, and that's all I could have to do with that.
One of the reasons a lot of people gave Chris was his weight. The weight cut for the Conor Benn fight affected him potentially in this fight. Some people say he's outgrown 160. This fight isn't be at 160.
So that's my problem. If the fight's exactly the same weight, against the guy that turned him all the way, turned him over, and everything was bang on right in training camp, what is the difference going to be? Because you're not going to make a mistake in a fight that's the stakes are so high, so the stakes are still high again. So again, is it money? And I know you're thinking, well, why would he have to do that? But I'm trying to understand why he would put himself in such a position, because it's not like he's had another 3 or 4 fights to adjust the wrongs. To get this right. It's his next fight. So I'm trying to understand what has changed. So it's not until we hear the press conference for him to say this happened in camp, that happened in camp, we won't know. But nothing's changed. So why would the difference, the result be any different? The only difference in the result would be it might be a few rounds later, but I don't expect it to see the final round if nothing's changed.
I mean, last time both fighters kind of got into each other's skin. A lot was said. If you're Liam Smith now, and you took all that from Eubank Jr. about, I've never been down, I've got a solid chin. Liam's in a very confident position. So how do you see him reacting, and what can Chris do this time around? Because we know he's the master of mind games.
So I think the only person that we were the only ones that were questioning that. Liam and his team had full confidence and belief in what they could do. The only difference now is we now believe in Liam and his team's confidence. We were the doubters. We were the ones saying Chris could do this, Chris could do that. And Liam was consistent with, you're on another planet. So he's not done anything wrong. His mindset's exactly the same. The only fear is that he becomes complacent. That's the only fear. But I think he's far too experienced and smart and fighting. He's gone through far too much to make that mistake, because can you imagine going in there, being complacent, getting turned over? So everything he said has been doubted. So yeah, you know what, you've 2 arms, 2 legs, you've got 2 fighters in there. Yes, Chris is expecting to get the wrath of hell today. To get mocked, to get ridiculed, to get reminded. He's expecting that. I just want to see, when the question is posed to him, what difference is there going to be? Now, he might play the devil's advocate and say, I got hit by the elbow. So that tells me that his reasons for taking this fight are not genuine. If he's honest, unless he's playing with us all to say, I'll wind you all up. And the reason why he's taking a fight, I'm thinking, are you doing this for dough? Or do you really think you can beat him again? I don't think Chris has got enough money, so I'm pushing away from that angle. But that's the narrative it's going to go down. He's got to tell us what is different about this fight than the next fight. Why did that happen in this fight and not in the other fight? And so we've just got to wait and see what he says.
Do you think we'll still see Roy Jones Jr. training Chris Eubank Jr. for this fight?
I hope he's been working with him since the last fight. If Chris has been jollying about or just tipping and tapping, nothing's going to change. I think Roy needs to be there with him, and Roy's a smart guy, so he'll be able to figure out a way to fix this. And if he hasn't got Roy with him, then I think this fight might not even go as far as the last one.
Only around 7.5 weeks away from fight night itself. Early prediction?
Same result, a few more rounds. That's it.
Simple as that. Johnny, appreciate your time as always, but before I let you go, just some other topics just very quickly, briefly. We're hearing about a heavyweight tournament in Saudi Arabia. Not a tournament, sorry, let me rephrase. A heavyweight night of boxing with Wilder, Joshua and Usyk and Fury to take place on one night. Early rumours, but most parties have come out and said discussions are underway and there are talks.
So we've seen in the past that conversations and rumours have flown out. The devil's in the detail of the contract being signed. Now you've got 4 of the biggest hitters in heavyweight boxing today, so they're not cheap. That's number one. And then it's who comes out first. Where's it going to be? Negotiations. These fights can fall by the wayside through negotiations. So until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, let's just speculate. Let's just make believe. I think, and so in make-believe land, I think this will be an amazing tournament. I think whoever broadcasts it, and they'll do an amazing job with it because the world will be on it. In make-believe land, it will create so much topic of conversation. Who will win? Who will be the first one out? Who will be the last one standing? In make-believe land, this is like historical. But it's still make-believe.
What do you make of Anthony Joshua's story that he put out to say that he's not going to fight no longer in the summer? There were plans for him to fight in the summer. He'll now fight in December. When
Anthony Joshua lost to Alexander Usyk, I said he needs a year out to get his head right, to get his motivation, his reasoning out right. He boxed and he came up against a lot of criticism. And I said his reasons need to be right, his training needs to be right, everything needs to be spot on. So this time out, it suits, out of everybody, it suits him more than anybody else. Because he needs that for him. That, for whatever kind of fight he's going to decide to be in this tournament, he needs that confidence to be built back up again. He needs that ruggedness back about him. He needs that. He needs to get over the Usyk fight. Because on pound on top of the Usyk fight is a backlash he got from the last fight. So that's pressure a man don't need. So now he's saying, you know what, I'm going to go back, this is what I'm going to do. Screw you all, this is my job. So I think it suits him down to the ground.
Just finally, a topic that's been going on for so long, and I'm not going to talk too much on it because we've spoken a lot about it, the whole Conor Benn stuff, but good to see that he's going through that Ukad process, and hopefully through an investigation we'll get to a satisfactory conclusion.
At the end of the day, with all the noise, all the hullabaloo, nothing's changed. He failed the drug test. He's having to suffer the consequences no matter what's been said or done. A year's gone by. He could have been a year into his suspension, and so it's not changed anything. The ruling, the findings haven't changed. It's that somebody's officially put the name to a ruling. That's it. So I don't think it's made any difference. It's exactly the same. I think Conor have got a lot of time for the young man, and I just think I feel for him. But if you failed a drug test and there's nothing that says, you know what, okay, we can understand that, we can justify this, you got to take your licks, take your time out, take your ban. Get there, take your ban and get back on with your career.
Join Nelson, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,